Election Day voting. Identifying voters. In order to vote, a person must have a photo ID or complete a voter identification affidavit. For photo ID, commissioners may accept any generally recognized photo ID that has the voter's name and signature, such as a Louisiana driver's license, Louisiana special identification card, or school ID, or even an out-of-state driver's license is acceptable if it contains the three important things: the photo, the voter's name, and the voter's signature. Voters may also use the Louisiana Wallet Digital Driver's License as a form of identification. If the voter chooses this form of ID, they should have the Louisiana Wallet open on their device. The commissioner must view the digital license without handling the voter's device to check the photo, the voter's name, and the voter's signature. If further validation is necessary, the commissioner may ask the voter to show the Louisiana Wallet security seal. The voter can press and hold the license on the screen to reveal the security seal. If the commissioner doubts the acceptability of any ID presented by a voter, the voter must complete a voter identification affidavit, AV-34. After identifying the voter, find the voter's name in the precinct register or supplemental precinct register in alpha order by last name. A woman may be listed under a maiden or married last name, and therefore the commissioner may need to ask and check several last names to find the voter. Commissioners must also compare the voter's date of birth, if available, to the information in the precinct register to make certain that the person before them is the same person in the precinct register and not someone else with the same name. Lack of identification. Do not turn away a voter for lack of identification. If a voter does not have a photo ID, they must complete a voter identification affidavit. The voter will be required to write their date of birth and mother's maiden name and sign it. Mother's maiden name is required on all voter registration applications, and therefore you will see each voter's mother's maiden name in the precinct register, or if unknown, you will see the word unknown. Commissioners must compare the voter's name, the date of birth, and the mother's maiden name on the affidavit with the information in the precinct register to make certain that this person is the same person in the precinct register before allowing them to vote. If the applicant is unable to read or write or cannot complete the affidavit due to a disability, a commissioner may assist him in completing the affidavit. All voters who complete a voter identification affidavit are subject to challenge before voting. They may be challenged by a commissioner, a watcher, or a voter in the precinct if they do not believe the person is who they say they are, or the person should not be voting in the precinct or in the election. Challenges are made using the challenge of voter form. The commissioners determine whether to allow the challenge or not by majority vote. Checking for special notations on signature line in precinct register. Always check the signature line for a voter, and if it has a notation, then action may be required. If the notation reads voted by mail or voted early, the voter may not vote at the polls. If the signature line reads address confirmation required, the voter must complete an address confirmation card before being allowed to vote. This form is required for the voter to affirm their residential address or to provide an updated address. Each year, the registrar conducts a canvass to confirm each voter's address, and if the address is not verified during the canvass, it must be updated or verified before voting. If a voter moved out of the parish within the last 3 months before the election, they may provide their updated address and vote. However, the form instructs the voter that if they cannot affirm that they moved within the last 3 months, they are not to vote. If they moved to another parish within the state, they can complete a voter registration application to re-register at their new address. All completed voter registration applications are placed in the pink ROV envelope. Announcing the voter, signing the precinct register, and creating poll lists. After finding the voter's name in the precinct register or supplemental precinct register pages and confirming that they are eligible to vote, have the voter sign the precinct register. If a voter is unable to sign, they may make a mark. Commissioners compare the voter's signature on the photo ID to their signature in the precinct register. If the commissioner is satisfied that it is the voter, they must initial in the column next to the voter's name in the precinct register, being careful not to write in the barcode area. The commissioner will now announce the voter's name and spell the name out loud to the two commissioners writing names in the pink PL53 and gold PL53 duplicate poll lists. It is important that the voters' names are correctly spelled and nicknames are not used. Commissioners writing names in the poll list must print the names. Do not write in cursive. It is okay for a commissioner who works the precinct register to also keep a poll list if necessary. Using the Go Vote app on smartphones or tablets. You may download the free Go Vote app on your smartphone or tablet. This may help you to assist a voter to look up their correct polling place. You can encourage voters to download the Go Vote app as well. Assistance in voting. What if a voter needs assistance or asks for assistance in voting? Our law allows a voter to have assistance if they are unable to read or have a physical disability, including being visually impaired. Voters may be registered to vote as needing assistance, in which case you will find a Y for yes in the assistance column in the precinct register. These voters are entitled to have assistance from anyone they choose, except a commissioner in charge, a candidate, an employer, a union agent, or the staff from state-operated facilities for disabled persons. If the assistance column is blank, the voter who has a physical disability may receive assistance by completing a physical disability affidavit. The voter may also present other disability documentation, such as a doctor's certificate, an official OMV mobility impaired ID card with a photo, or a copy of a disability letter from Social Security, veterans, citizens with developmental disabilities, Louisiana Rehabilitation Services, or paratransit services. Remember that our law does not require documentation if a voter is not marked for needing assistance and they request assistance because they are unable to read. The doctor's certificate and copies of any disability document must be kept and placed in the pink Registrar of Voters envelope. If the voter does not have a copy, have them complete the physical disability affidavit. Remember that any voter may use the audio unit without any documentation or notation of being marked as needing assistance. Refer to the informational pamphlet for Election Day voting or to the quick chart guide for using the audio voting keypad located in the General Forms zipper bag to inform a voter on how to operate the audio unit before activating the voting machine. Before allowing assistance, the person assisting the voter must print their name and sign the precinct register pages behind the Assistance to Voters tab. Also, if the precinct register did not show the voter as marked for needing assistance, a check must be placed in the box under the No Y in Assistance column for voter. How to activate a voting machine. Look under the Lockout District column in the precinct register for each voter to determine which button number is needed to activate their ballot. If needed, write the number down and give it to the commissioner activating the machine. On the operator panel, press the button number for the voter, for example, button 1, then press the green Activate button. If the voter's button number is 3, you would press button 3, then the green Activate button. If you accidentally press a wrong button number, it is okay for you to press the correct button number before pressing Activate. But if you have already pressed the Activate button with an incorrect button number, call the clerk's office for help. If there is no button number in the precinct register, you simply activate the machine by pressing the green Activate button on the operator panel. Once the voting machine is activated, it will make a sound, and the light next to the Activate button will light up. The display screen on the operator panel will read Voter Active, and the booth light will come on. Tell the voter to enter when it's their turn. Curtains won't automatically open or close. You may inform the voter on how to operate the voting machine by telling them to look for a green light by the titles of offices they are eligible to vote for. To vote for a candidate, a voter must press the white box to the right of the candidate's name or next to the yes or no for propositions. A green X will light up to the left of the box, not inside the box. If a voter would like to change their vote prior to pressing the Cast Vote button, you may instruct them to deselect their choice by pressing the white box again. The green X will disappear, and the voter can then press the white box next to their new selection. Again, the green X will appear to the left of the box and not in the box. After making all selections, the voter must press the orange Cast Vote button in the bottom right-hand corner. You'll hear an electronic beep like this. Their vote is now recorded, and the machine is automatically ready to be activated for the next voter. All voters are allowed 3 minutes to vote or 20 minutes if using the audio unit. Fled voter. If you do not hear the electronic beep, the voter did not cast their vote. If possible, have the voter return to the booth to cast their vote. If the voter has left the polling location, this is a fled voter and must be documented on the Notation of Irregularities form. There are 2 types of fled voters. The first type is when the voter makes selections but exits the booth before pressing the Cast Vote button. If the voter has not left the polling place, you can have the voter return to this same machine to press the Cast Vote button. The second type is when the voter left the booth without making a selection. In either case, the commissioner never enters the voting booth as a voter's selections are confidential. Reach your hand under the curtain and press the Cast Vote button. If you hear the Cast Vote electronic sound, the choices made by the fled voter are cast. If you do not hear the Cast Vote electronic sound, the voter did not make any selections. Therefore, the machine count will not advance, and the precinct register will have one more person than the number of voters on the machine's public counter. All types of fled voters must be documented on the Notation of Irregularities form. Remember, you should check the public counter numbers on your machines with the number of voters in your poll list throughout the day to ensure they match. If they don't, note the discrepancy on the Notation of Irregularities form with the time and details. Voters with disabilities. It is important to watch and allow any voter who has a visible physical disability, such as a voter in a wheelchair or with a walker or cane, and the person assisting them to go to the front of the line. Also, any voter who presents an official OMV mobility impaired ID card with a photo and the person assisting them may go to the front of the line. Always use proper etiquette to talk to the voter and not their assistant, and remember that the commissioner may not decide if a person is competent to vote. Always ask before assuming that a person may need help. For example, do not take a visually impaired voter's arm, but offer your own arm as assistance. Do not touch any sight animal without asking the voter first. And for a hearing impaired voter, you may gently tap their shoulder and point when showing where to go. If a voter has trouble understanding you, patiently repeat or rephrase your instructions. Plainly give one instruction at a time and wait until the task is completed before giving the next. Feel free to physically demonstrate how to operate a voting machine. And if a voter is in a wheelchair, you may lower the voting machine to help them. Voters with children. A voter is allowed to bring their child with them inside the voting booth. Instruct the voter to have the child stand on their left side to prevent the child from accidentally pressing the Cast Vote button before the voter is ready to finalize their vote. Nothing can be changed after the Cast Vote button is pressed. Watchers. Individuals known as watchers may monitor activities at the polling place, but they may not interfere with voting. They may call out infractions of the law to the commissioner, and they may take notes, but they are not allowed to review or copy from the precinct register as it contains confidential information. Watchers must have a commission issued by the Parish Board of Election Supervisors. Verify the commission and then return it. Candidates and those supporting or opposing a proposition are entitled to one watcher and one alternate watcher at every precinct where the candidate or proposition is on the ballot. A watcher and alternate may not serve at the same time, but they can split the day or come and go, but may not disrupt voting. A candidate may also have one commissioned super watcher who is allowed into the candidate's precinct at the same time as either the watcher or alternate watchers. Commissioners have the authority to regulate the number of watchers inside the polling place if necessary. Exit pollsters who are with national media outlets may be authorized to be at a polling place. This usually occurs during a presidential election. The clerk of court will inform you if any exit pollsters are authorized at your polling place on election day. Law enforcement at the polls. Law enforcement officers are not stationed at polling places, and they may not serve as commissioners, but they may appear and vote if they are on duty, and they may be called by the commissioners if needed to enforce the commissioner's orders. Except for law enforcement officers, guns are not permitted at polling places, even if a person has a concealed carry permit. These prohibitions in the law are listed on the Voters' Bill of Rights poster. Emergencies. There are many kinds of emergencies that can occur at a polling location, ranging from machine errors to major power outages, fires, or gas leaks, to name a few. So what would you do if your precinct encounters an emergency? First, analyze the severity of the emergency and ensure the safety of all poll workers and voters. Then call the clerk's office immediately. If you must exit the building and it is possible to safely retrieve the blue cartridges located in the back of the voting machines, please do so by unlocking the machine, powering it off, breaking the red seal over the blue results cartridge, and removing the cartridge. Stand by for further instructions from the Clerk of Court's office and/or Secretary of State's office.